Deputy Speaker, there is one question Western Australians need to answer. Are you actually better or worse off since Labor came to government in 2022? Well, in WA we know that Labor has delivered higher costs of living, higher mortgages, 12 interest rate rises, higher costs of doing business, shortages of housing and rental properties, shortages of skilled workers in spite of record immigration, and Western Australians are paying higher prices, higher taxes and higher mortgage repayments because of Labor's homegrown inflation. And Labor is trying desperately to manipulate headline inflation through taxpayer-funded subsidies, subsidies that will be paid for by current and future generations of WA taxpayers. But over and above this, let's just consider how Labor is deliberately and actively damaging Western Australia by closing the live sheep trade. As a farmer myself, I well understand why WA farmers know that the Labor government believes that we are expendable. We simply don't matter. Axing the live sheep trade is a prime example. We Western Australians know that Labor is totally East Coast city elite activist focused, dictating to and actively sacrificing WA farmers and our communities. Every family and farming business matters in regional communities, something that Labor either doesn't understand or couldn't care less about. Each one of these businesses keeps their community going by buying locally from other small businesses and contractors. Livestock transporters, shearers, truckies, stock agents, shearers, schools, vets, mechanics and other small businesses are the lifeblood of rural and regional Australia. The ones that support our local volunteer emergency services, sporting and community groups. Every local dollar that circulates in these communities helps to keep the whole community sustainable. And how about the dreadful financial and personal stress this is forcing onto our farmers and their families? Well, Labor couldn't give a damn in WA. When I watched the then Labor Ag Minister smiling as he held up Labor's document to end live exports, I just thought how disgusting for WA farmers. An Eastern States federal Labor minister celebrating an end to a farming industry in WA. Shameful. Labor is coming after WA farmers one sector at a time. And it's not just WA farmers, it's also our beautiful, productive regional communities. Labor is planning to build hundreds of around 300-metre offshore wind turbines in our iconic Geograph Bay off my electorate. Labor will ride roughshod over our southwest by literally forcing our communities to bear the massive burden of Labor's intermittent, unreliable, renewables-only obsession. Like the live sheep closure, Labor is targeting Western Australians once again. Its ruinously expensive green offshore wind dream is our regional community's worst nightmare. Just picture 4,000 square kilometres of hundreds of these 300-metre turbines in our pristine Geograph Bay. What a dreadful and appalling blight on our marine environment in an area that is our major tourism and recreation attraction in the southwest of WA. People come to enjoy the beauty, the sheer beauty and the amazing marine recreational area. They don't come to see visual pollution or bird-killing 300-metre wind turbines or the prospect of significant damage to our marine life. With each one of these actually needing exclusion zones, no-go zones, you imagine the amount of ocean that won't be able to be enjoyed by our local people and tourists alike. Hundreds of turbines. These exclusion zones will excise and lock out all other activities all around the areas of the bay, with hundreds of kilometres of undersea cables, substations and onshore transmission lines. But, of course, Western Australians will be guaranteed to pay more for their power because of the enormous cost of offshore wind. According to a CSIRO report last year, it's at least 3 times more expensive than onshore wind. And the massive turbines will only last around 25 years before they have to be removed and replaced, or the southwestern WA will be left with rusting, rotting wind towers in our pristine Geograph Bay. Well, the community says no and the coalition has said no. Our southwest and WA can be confident that there will be no wind factory in Geograph Bay under a coalition government. Unlike a Labor government that continues to punish WA and our critical mining and resources sector, with changes around industrial relations, the Nature Positive Act, the layer upon layer of red and green tape and uncertainty over approvals, continuously biting the hand that feeds them, that is Western Australia. We, on the coalition side, will stand up for Western Australia every day of the week.